Last of Us is a movie game, and I don't mean that as if it's based off of a movie property. When I say it is a movie game, I mean that it is a video game that so badly wants to be a movie. It is a game that tries to go above and beyond the medium of video games and tries to be as cinematic as possible. Now, here's what I'll say about The Last of Us. The Last of Us is not unique. It is not a special one-in-a-million snowflake. Now, you might hear that and get mad, but the fact that it is not unique is not necessarily a bad thing. And I will explain why it is not unique in this video. The Last of Us is a great story, but that does not necessarily make it a great game. I have heard nothing but praise for the game. People will climb mountaintops just to shout to the heavens that The Last of Us is the greatest cinematic masterpiece of a game ever created. I have been labeled a Last of Us hater, because I do not feel the same way. But let me let you in on a little secret. I like the game. That's right, I like the game. But I do not think it is a masterpiece of a game. There are some who like to separate people who play The Last of Us into two groups. You either love the game and think it is a marvel of human achievement, or you're an Xbox fanboy who is delusional. You're either Republican or Democrat.
You may say it's overhyped,
But you'd be fucking wrong.
because it's a damn good game, and that's why a lot of people say it's a damn good game. Oh my god, it's a pack of rabid, jealous Xbox fanboys! Everybody, run! Damn you! Back! Every single column! Everyone single column! Stay behind me! Oh god! Oh please! Your arguments make no sense! You keyboard warriors! Stay back! Back, damn you! You won't listen to logic! You won't listen to reason! Listen to this!
Well, guess what? In my life, I have owned a PlayStation 1, a PlayStation 2, an original Xbox, an Xbox 360, and I currently have a PlayStation 4 and an Xbox One. So, I am no fanboy. And you know what else? I'm going to use logic and reason. Two words that Angry Joe loved to throw out there, which I'm going to use to prove each and every little fucking fault I have with the game. Because guess what? This game has a lot of problems, which might be the reason why some people don't give it fucking 10 out of 10s, which I know might be a crazy idea to some of the huge fanboys who love the game, but yeah. This game has faults. This game has problems. You can close your eyes and pretend they're not there because it's got a great story. But great story doesn't equal great game. There's lots of other factors. So, let's fucking get into it. Let me show you a whole new world. You take the blue pill, and you live your life in a bubble believing there are only Last of Us haters and Last of Us lovers. There is no in between. You keep living in the dream world. Or you take the red pill and see just how far the rabbit hole goes. Great, now that that's out of the way, are you ready for the truth? Games are complex things, and it is okay to like or not like whatever you want. Something that is good is not necessarily perfect 10 out of 10 material, and something that is bad isn't necessarily 0 out of 10 trash and might have some redeeming qualities. If things were so black and white, then no one would watch The Room, because it is a piece of shit excuse for a film, with shitty acting, shitty dialogue, shitty writing, shitty cinematography, shitty everything.
You are lying. I never hit you. You are tearing me apart, Lisa.
Why are you so hysterical?
Do you understand life? Do you?
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
The Last of Us is not a masterpiece. It may be a masterpiece of a story, in a way, but as a game, it is just good. Sometimes very good, but not a masterpiece. Let me take you on a journey as we take a deep dive into the game and critique it. I'll not only point out where I think the game stumbles, but also where I think the game succeeds. I hope to introduce a new way of looking into the game. Also, shameless plug real quick. I recently played through the game in one sitting, and the live stream is on the channel, so check it out if you want. Just a warning, it's 10 hours long. And I just want to apologize real quick because it was my first time streaming on Streamlabs OBS. So the game volume is about as loud, if not louder than my voice sometimes. So sometimes my voice is a little hard to hear. It won't happen again, I promise. I think I figured it out. Now, let's start off with the game's story. This is perhaps the game's strongest area. I mean, it's pretty damn good. And I mean like, story 100 good. Well, okay, it's not perfect, so maybe more like story 90 good. And it's not the story itself, it's pretty generic. I mean the character's story. The story of Ellie and Joel's journeys. Their character journey. We start off the game with Joel and his daughter Sarah on the night of Joel's birthday. He comes home from work and finds his daughter asleep on the couch, waiting to give him his birthday present. It's a nice little scene between father and daughter. You then play as Sarah as she goes to bed and is woken up by a call from her uncle, who desperately needs to talk to her father. She witnesses her father kill a mushroom zombie man, and her father and uncle attempt to get to safety with her. Sarah and her father end up getting shot at by a soldier who has the worst aim in the world. Like, worse than Stormtrooper aim. He's got a fully automatic rifle and is standing like 10 feet away from them, yet the only one that he managed to hit is Sarah. Meanwhile, Joel doesn't have a scratch on him. That's just a minor nitpick, but whatever. Now, I managed to stay away from most spoilers for the game prior to my first playthrough. The only things I heard were people saying that the beginning is so sad. I started crying in the first 15 minutes. I never get emotional playing games, but the beginning of this game made me feel something. So I figured maybe I would feel the same way. I played the first 20 minutes of the game, and I felt nothing. Now let me clarify. I'm not one of those fucking losers who's like, what? I never cry. I'm a man. Men don't cry. Men who cry are fucking pussies. No, not at all. You put on a sad anime moment or backstory, and my fat ass would be crying in the fetal position. Make me watch Law's backstory, or that moment when Hachi gets shot in One Piece, and I'll cry like a fucking baby. Or Nico Robin's past.
いつか必ずお前を守ってくれる仲間が現れる。この世に生まれて一人ぼっちなんてことは絶対にないんだで。走れロビン。振り返らずに苦しい時は教えたでよ。こうやって笑うんだで。
サウル危ない。
でれししししししししし。
Ice time.
でやれしし、どこかの海で必ず待っとる仲間に会いに行けロビン。
I legit felt nothing for Sarah. She dies in the first 15 minutes. I didn't get to know her, and I felt nothing for her death.
Sarah. Move your hands, baby. I know, baby, I know. Listen to me, I know this hurts, baby. You're gonna be okay, baby. Stay with me. All right, I'm gonna pick you up. I know, baby, I know it hurts. Come on, baby, please. I know, baby, I know. Sarah. Baby. Don't do this to me, baby. Don't do this to me, baby. Come on. No. No. No, no, please. Please. Okay.
The voice acting, animation, and music is all great here. In fact, it's like top quality stuff. But personally, I just didn't feel anything for Sarah. I hardly knew her. You know what I mean? Like, I just didn't care. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm calling you an idiot. or a baby because you felt something. If you did, that is great. I wish I felt the same thing, but I just didn't. I felt more sadness for John Wick's dog than I did for Sarah's death. I mean, this is another instance of the game not being super unique. Almost every Disney movie ever has had a death in the beginning. Spoiler alert, by the way. Bambi's mom. That one old lady from Up. They each died relatively early in their respective films. Hell, even Attack on Titan did the same thing by killing Aaron's mom off by the end of the first episode. In each of these examples, I never really gave a crap because I didn't get to know these characters who died. You want to know how to kill off a character early and do it right? Just look at my boy Mufasa. You get plenty of character moments and scenes with him. You feel like you know him and what he's about. He cares about his people, well, his fellow animals, his family, and has a sense of responsibility by protecting his land and his people as their king. He is kind, gentle, and wise, but he can be vicious and violent when he needs to be. Prior to his death, he has a scene where you think he's pissed off and is about to go off on Simba for being a prick. But he isn't an asshole about it. In fact, it's a touching father-son moment. One of at least 2 scenes between parent and child, compared to one that we get from Joel and Sarah. What can you tell me about Joel and Sarah after their one touching scene together? She loves her father, and he loves his daughter. Not very much characterization in my opinion. By the end of the first scene between Mufasa and Simba, you learn all that. You learn that they care about each other, and you even get a decent feel for Simba and Mufasa's characters. You get a sense of Simba's naiveness, innocence, and headstrongness, if that's a word.
Headstrong to take on anyone.
And for Mufasa, you learn how he is a kind, loving, and wise dude who knows a lot and wants to impart his lessons on his son. Once you get to know him, and after he promises to always be there for his son, that is when he dies. Simba's reaction is almost heartbreaking. Coupled with the time you got to spend getting to know Mufasa, you get maybe 15 minutes with Sarah and Joel. And all I can tell you is that they love each other. Joel works a lot, and they don't like the same kind of music. These are 2 of the only things that you learn about them in these first 15 minutes, and the only way you know about it is by reading a card that she made that you could easily miss. And once Sarah does die, you don't get too long to let Sarah's death sink in and marinate. With Simba, you get plenty of time between Simba and his father's corpse, especially when he lays down next to his father, and as he cries for help as well. Compound that even further when Scar comes along and makes things even worse for Simba's mental state, blaming Simba for Mufasa's death. In The Last of Us, you get about 30 seconds to mourn, and then I hope you're paying attention, because if you want to have a small sense of what is going on in the world and where the plague came from, you better be paying attention to these news reports and clips. And then boom, 20 years later, you don't get a chance to mourn Sarah's death. Now, in Naruto, sure, Shippuden sucks ass, especially the war, but follow me on this one. In Naruto, Jiraiya's death is sad, but you get time to mourn for him. You get to see other characters mourn for him, which helps give you a new perspective and even more time to mourn for him. Even if you knew he was set up to fail and die, it is still tragic because you got to know him for so long and got to know him so well. In fact, his death isn't even the saddest part. It's Naruto's reaction to Jiraiya's death. Anyway, about 20 years later pass by, and Joel has done and seen some shit to survive. Maybe it's just me, but I would have liked to have seen or played at least a little bit of these 20 years, rather than only catching glimpses of it in the story. But I am actually interested in the years after his daughter's death. It just kind of feels like that one scene in The Last Jedi, where Luke finds out Han is dead, and then boom, it just cuts away. Like, what the fuck? I wanted to see the aftermath of that. It's not as bad here because at least you get to see Joel's reaction to his daughter dying in his arms, but still, I would have liked a little bit more. The point is, I felt nothing for Sarah's death, and the cut to 20 years later isn't as much of a deal for me, because I cared so little. Anyway, back to the story. Joel and his maybe girlfriend Tess chased a dude who sold guns that he owed to them, and he sold them to a mysterious group called the Fireflies, a group that is looking for a cure and is anti-government or something. They don't really explain what the Fireflies are very well, so I'm not going to go super in depth either. If Naughty Dog didn't care, then neither do I. The Fireflies are a group that Ethan's brother was once a part of, and they are fighting for freedom or something. They agree to smuggle Ellie to the drop-off point. Turns out, Ellie is immune to the virus mold thingy. Oh yeah, we also meet this afterthought of a character called Marlene. When we get to the drop-off point, the Fireflies have left and abandoned this hideout, and it is revealed that Tess was bitten along the way. Now this, right here, is a death I actually cared about. I actually kind of knew Tess, so this is a much better death in my opinion than Sarah's. In fact, it's a death that appears off screen. You don't even see it. You just see the aftermath. I actually cared so much that I avenged Tess in my live stream. Check it out.
Copy that.
Motherfuckers! Yeah, that was for Tess. After that, the story is all about Joel and Ellie and their journey together. Not just their journey to get to the Fireflies, but their character journeys as well. They don't like or respect each other very much in the beginning. But by the end, Joel and Ellie love and care for each other, like father and daughter. The game is all about Joel learning to have hope, learn to love again, and learn to be open and honest about his feelings. And for Ellie, it's all about learning to care about Joel and learning how dark and desperate the world really is. This all culminates perfectly to when Ellie on her own kills a creepy rapist cannibal dude. Joel comes to her and emotionally supports her. He cares so much about her that he calls her baby girl. Let's watch it real quick.
You can try begging.
Fuck you.
You think you know me? Huh? Well, let me tell you something. You have no idea what I'm capable of. Ellie! Stop! Stop!
Fucking touch me!
It's okay. It's me. It's me. It's me. Look. It's me.
He tried to...
Oh, baby girl. It's okay. It's okay.
No.
It's okay.
This is such a good fucking scene. After this, Joel promises to be by her side and protect her. He shows how much he cares by holding her, consoling her, and calling her baby girl. This scene gets to me emotionally and makes me feel something. Their bond is so strong that even when they are close to the Fireflies' new hospital base, Joel says that they can go wherever together once this is over. She isn't just some Amazon package or burden that he has to deliver and get rid of. At least, not anymore. They're family. This all culminates when Joel learns that in order to find a cure, the procedure to find a cure will kill Ellie. But it's for the greater good, for all of mankind. And Joel loves her so much that he does what is perhaps one of the most selfish acts I have ever seen committed in a film or game. He kills everyone. Well, you can sneak by everyone, but that kind of ruins the mood and the emotion in the story. As Joel, I killed fucking everyone in my way because I gave that much of a shit about Ellie. Anyone who got in my way got a one-way ticket straight to fucking hell. Joel is a straight-up villain here. He kills Firefly soldiers, kills the doctor who was going to operate on Ellie, kills Marlene when she begged for mercy, and lied to Ellie about what happened. And let's not forget this crucial little detail. He doomed all of humanity because he didn't want to lose Ellie. He didn't want to lose another daughter. That makes him, and by extension you the player, a complete asshole and a villain. But I don't care about that. I agree with Joel. After this whole game, I sure as shit wasn't gonna give up on Ellie and let those assholes kill her, even if it meant preventing a cure. And this is all because the writing is so damn good. There's so many scenes and conversations between Ellie and Joel that made me care about both of them. For example, Ellie is afraid of being alone. She says so herself to that one other kid.
Being by myself? I'm scared of ending up alone.
So, when Joel tries to pawn her off on his brother, she runs away. She doesn't want Joel to leave her after they've spent so much time together and formed a bond. She's distraught and unsure of what the future holds, so she runs. Everyone she knew and loved, including her mother, is dead. She has no parents because they are dead. Marlene, for all she knows, could be dead right now. Everyone in some way has left her, except for Joel, who is literally in the process of leaving her.
Everyone I have cared for has either died or left me. Everyone fucking except for you. So don't tell me that I would be safer with someone else, because the truth is I would just be more scared.
You're right. You're not my daughter. And I sure as hell ain't your dad.
Wow, Joel, you fucking bitch.
We are going our separate ways.
Then there's the scene in the burning bar. And let's not forget one of the other best scenes in the game, the giraffe scene. This is also perhaps one of my favorite endings to a game where Joel lies his ass off for Ellie's sake. And she has doubts. The ending is bittersweet. The story itself is generic as fuck. Get the package, Ellie in this case, to this point. Oh, something went wrong. Instead, go here. Get her to Joel's brother, who will take her. Then you take her to Joel's brother, and instead, Joel changes his mind, and he will take her to the final location. All in the process to find a cure. In a way, this story is generic as fuck. There's a zombie apocalypse, and only one person is immune, and you have to deliver this person and keep them safe. It's pretty generic. When I say the story is great, I mean Joel and Ellie's personal stories, their character journeys. That is what is so well written in the game. Kind of a problem that I do have with this story is you learn almost nothing about the infection that is turning people. What you do learn is surface level at best, and you probably would have learned just by watching the trailer. That's about it.
The most interesting interaction is when they're infecting ants. The fungus induces a suite of chemical changes inside the body of the ant, and this causes the individual to leave the nest. The ants ascend small saplings in the understory vegetation, and they have what really does appear to be a directed behavior. They're moving towards the midpoint of a leaf, and there they're finding the tissue and they're biting deeply into it. Once the ant is dead, it grows a long stalk from the back of the head, and this is the stalk which will produce spores. And by dying above the ant colony, what is essentially happening is that the fungus has invented a sniper's alley of infection, where spores are being hurled down on top of them, and this is how the infection reoccurs in the society.
The fungus is so virulent, it can wipe out whole colonies of ants. And it's not just ants that fall victim to this killer. There are literally thousands of different types of cordyceps fungi, and remarkably, each specializes on just one species.
Did you like those really detailed explanations? Because they're hardly ever brought up in the game. You come across one slide that kind of explains it, and it's alluded to here and there, but that right there, those videos are more than we learn in the game at all. There are so many questions that go unanswered. There was so much that they could have done with this, like learning about how it happened. Did it happen naturally, or was it an experiment gone wrong? But instead it completely gets glossed over, which in a way is okay, because the story isn't really about the infection. It's more about Joel and Ellie and their character arcs. But still, it would have been nice to have found a balance where we at least get a little bit of answers, especially when the whole goal of the game is a cure. Now, I did skip over a lot of parts. like when Joel is sick and Ellie takes care of him and you play as her. But that is because A, if you're watching this video, you've probably already played the game. And B, if it's important, I'll probably bring it up later in the video. Now, I talked a lot about Joel and Ellie's characters in the story section of this video, so I'll try to be brief and skim over them here. Joel is the main playable character of the game. He lost his daughter, and now he has a shitty view of the world. He has no hope, and has a very pessimistic or nihilistic view of the world. He has been through some shit, and he has done some shit too. This is why it's so easy for him to break someone's arm, torture someone, and kill people like it's easy. He has a great character arc as he learns to love and care for Ellie as an adoptive father. Pretty damn great writing. Oh man, is this the line for the Imagine Dragons concert? Dude, I want to listen to Radioactive. Now, Ellie. This is where we get to the good shit. When people bring up The Last of Us, most people bring up Joel and his character journey. For most people, it feels like he is their favorite character in the game. But for me... No. For me, my favorite character in the game is Ellie. At some points, we have moments where Ellie brings out a pun book, and I love those little sections. She's naive and innocent, and doesn't know the hardships of the world. She hasn't seen the darkness that humanity possesses in their hearts, how selfish and evil humans can be, the atrocities we can commit, lying, murder, rape, cannibalism, all because of humanity's need for survival and or our selfishness. She comes across all of these things in the story, and she comes out of the story changed, just like Joel. She might need to be saved at some points, but she is tough and dependable from the start. She says that things would be easier if she had a gun and could help Joel, but Joel refuses at first, making for a great couple of scenes where she kills her first human.
I shot the hell out of that guy, huh?
Yeah, you sure did.
I feel sick.
Why didn't you just hang back like I told you to?
Well, you're glad I didn't, right?
I'm glad I didn't get my head blown off by a goddamn kid.
You know what? No. How about, hey, Ellie, I know it wasn't easy, but it was either him or me. Thanks for saving my ass. You got anything like that for me, Joel?
Thanks, Ellie.
We gotta get going.
Lead the way.
This results in Ethan trusting her more and giving her a rifle, because now he trusts her. All of this because of her, because she was worried about Joel and decided to go find him, ignoring his orders and saving his life by proving that she can be strong. Ellie just also has a great personality. She's a smartass and doesn't take shit from nobody. She swears almost as much as I do.
Hey! What'd I say to you when we walked down the steps? What'd I say?
I'm just fixing your stupid pile.
Don't touch. God damn it.
In fact, she becomes so dependable, she even has a section all to herself where she gets to kick ass as well. It's a nice little section too because the situation is flipped, where she has to be strong for Joel. She hunts for food, procures antibiotics for Joel, leads the cannibals away from him, hence saving his life, and she goes off and fights on her own. Ellie is without a doubt my favorite character in the game. She is such a big component and part of the game. Joel and Ellie are the main characters, and some would say that Joel is the main character because he's the main playable character. But I would say that the game is more reliant upon Ellie, which is why the final shot is so perfect to me. The future is uncertain, and the final shot is of Ellie. This whole final scene is so good. Oh, and by the way, I guess I should mention that in the Left Behind DLC, now that we're talking about Ellie, it is revealed that Ellie is gay. That's right, she's a lesbo. Now, I'm a straight half-white Mexican male, so I'll give you my opinion on Ellie's sexuality.
Okay.
I don't give a fuck!
There are some people who are like, ew, that's like totally grody. Nothing but super SJWs forcing gayness in my video games. To them I say, you fucking five? Are you afraid of cooties? If you are one of these people, do me a favor, go to your kitchen and grab some Clorox and Drano, and
honestly, you're on a waste of space. End your life. Execute yourself.
if you're complaining about the fact that Ellie is gay, A, you're probably a dude, and B, you must really support transgender rights, because as a male, you probably have a penis, and you also have a gaping fucking vagina because you're bitching and moaning like a huge fucking pussy. Anyway, I don't care about Ellie being gay. And in fact, one of my favorite characters in One Piece is a gay guy who does ballerina shit and is super gay. I know, it must be a very scary concept for you.
男の道をそれると女の道をそれると踏み外せぬは人の道平はもろとも誠の空に咲かせてみせようオカマウェイ
Anyway, Ellie is still my favorite character in the game, and you should all stop being such huge fucking pussies. Now, Joel and Ellie are so good and well written that the rest of the characters in the game feel like they were an afterthought. I've heard a lot of people praise the characters in the game, but I don't exactly know who or what they are praising. The rest of the characters aren't bad or anything, but many of them are so one-dimensional and don't get enough time to shine or develop. The most characterized would probably be the cannibal rapist David. He's a cannibal and a rapist. That's pretty much all you need to know. Okay, I'll go a little deeper. At first, he is really convincing at being a nice guy, but at the same time, he's too nice. So that's also really unconvincing, if you know what I mean. He's a good character only in the role he plays in Ellie's story, as he is just a chess piece and nothing more. He's just there to help Ellie develop as a character and teach her the realities of this world. Then there's Bill and Tommy. Fun fact, the first time I played the game, I forgot the name of Joel's brother. And so when I first met Bill, I thought Bill was Joel's brother Tommy, and he just let himself go and got really fat. Bill is a pretty good character. He's a mentally unstable loner who is kind of an asshole. The only deep dive or closer look at his character is when you realize he had a boyfriend or husband who he refers to as his partner, who actually hated Bill so much that he would rather leave and die than stay with Bill. You do get a nice 30-second scene where Bill comes across his partner's body, but after that, you basically go off on your own path and you never see Bill again.
Protection of this. Shove it right up. Nothing to do with.
Jesus.
Damn.
What, you know this guy or something?
Yeah, it's
Frank.
boyfriend or whatever.
Who the hell's Frank?
He was my partner.
Yep.
He's the only idiot that would wear a shirt like that.
Sorry for your loss, Bill.
He's got bites. Here. And
I reckon he didn't want to turn, so he...
yeah, I guess not. Well, fuck him.
Then there's Tommy, who had a falling out with Joel. He's the only family Joel has, so you'd think he would have a huge role to play and some crazy characterization and development, right?
Wrong!
You play like one of the shortest missions in the game alongside him, and you spend like maybe an hour with him, and then he's gone for the rest of the story. You don't even get many moments between the brothers. You get like 2 short scenes with the photo and when Joel tries to pawn off Ellie and get his brother to take her. Tommy is pretty likable, but he's just so underutilized and gets no time to shine or develop. Henry and Sam are 2 brothers who are essentially a foil for Joel and Ellie. Henry would do anything to keep Sam safe, and is a little cold and hard on his little brother, similar to how Joel was to Ellie early off in their travels. I knew as soon as they showed up that they would just be there to act as a foil to our pair of characters, and they were definitely gonna die. They're both likable and believable as characters. They have a role to play though, and once they achieve that, they're dead. I kind of forgot about them when I replayed the game, and I was like, oh yeah, these guys are in here. Again, they aren't bad characters by any means, but they're in the game for so little and only get mentioned like once more later. Everyone else plays a pretty small and almost insignificant role, such as Tommy's wife, and the rest are basically afterthoughts to afterthoughts. But for some reason, I feel like I'm leaving something out. I can't quite put my finger on it. Oh yeah, Marlene and the Fireflies. Get ready for a little bit of a rant, because I think I hate Marlene and the Fireflies. First, Let's start off with the Fireflies. What the fuck are the Fireflies? I can't really tell you, because the game basically just waves its hands in your face, and that's it. That's the Fireflies. They're labeled as terrorists and fight against what remains of the government and military. But at the same time, what does that make them? Are they made up of scientists, doctors, soldiers, civilians, or a combo of all of the above? They are opposed to the overbearing and uptight military zones. But here's a little secret. 98% of all the Fireflies you meet are all heavily armed, armored soldiers. I'm talking like SWAT gear, Army Ranger outfit wearing generic soldiers. One of which is a huge fucking asshole who gets what he deserves.
I said get up.
This guy is a fucking bitch.
Move.
Oh, we're gonna kill him though, don't you worry.
I said move.
Oh, I'm gonna kill your fucking ass, bitch.
Give me an excuse. Which way? What the fuck you doing? Keep walking. I said keep walking. Where was the operating room? I ain't got time for this. Where? Where? Top floor, the far end.
Police, get what you fucking deserve!
The remaining 2% consist of Marlene, one doctor, 2 nurses, or maybe it's 3 doctors, whatever, and Tommy, who was an ex-Firefly. If they're looking desperately for a cure, you'd think you'd run into a lot of scientists or doctors in the hospital, right? Women, children, brothers, sisters, fathers, mothers, hell, even babies. Fireflies are nothing more than a paramilitary group that is filled with generic-ass soldier guys with assault rifles and body armor. Oh, and you'd think they're going to play a huge role in the story, right? Well, you spend 90% of the game looking for these assholes who have almost been completely wiped off the face of the earth. There are so many important locations where the Fireflies either got murdered or were driven off. This weak, pathetic group must be made of nothing more than scientists and doctors, right? They couldn't possibly know how to fight if they're getting their ass kicked the whole time. I mean, they spend the whole game getting fucked by the government and military, so they must be comprised of just civilians and doctors.
Wrong!
They're a paramilitary group that has gotten its ass handed to them practically the whole game. Oh, and surprise, they're the big bad guys for like the last 20 minutes of the game. And Marlene, who is such an insignificant character, I forgot she even exists, is one of their leaders. Marlene is lucky if she maybe has 10 minutes of screen time in the game. You want me to describe her character to you? Here. She is a lady, she's in the Fireflies, she knows Ellie's mom, and she wants a cure. In the 10 hours I spent playing the game, that's pretty much all I can say about her. And then there's this big scene where Joel kills her.
Let me go. Please.
You just come after her.
And I was just sitting there like...
Okay.
Like, the hospital scene is only emotional because the goal is to save Ellie. Hell, I might as well be fighting nameless Resident Evil Umbrella soldiers. The Fireflies hold no emotional weight as villains or antagonists. Same goes for Marlene. There's maybe 2 or 3 tape recordings that give Marlene a little sprinkle of characterization, but if you pass those up, Marlene is just about as boring as a soggy piece of white bread. Find those tape recordings and she becomes soggy white bread that had pepper and parsley sprinkled on it. Besides Joel and Ellie, the rest of the characters are defined simply by their role in the story, and not much by their personality or characterization. Tommy is Joel's brother. That's his role. Marlene is a bad Firefly lady who is a secret final villain, I guess. Bill is the guy who can get Joel a car. David is a rapist cannibal whose role is to help Ellie see the evil in humans and grow as a character. Bill has perhaps the most characterization and traits because I can at least describe him besides his one-dimensional role in the story. He's a mentally unstable, untrusting, and tortured gay guy. That's about it. Again, Tommy's Joel's brother. And I guess a character trait is that he's a white guy who loves his brother and he's nice. Marlene is a bad Firefly lady and she's black. There was so much effort and so much good writing surrounding Joel and Ellie that it is disappointing to me to see such boring one-dimensional characters in the rest of the cast. The one exception being Tess, who is the third and only other character to actually go through a character arc, besides Joel and Ellie. Tommy, David, Bill, Henry, Sam, and Marlene do not go through character arcs. They leave the story about the same as they came in, and that might not bother you. It's okay to not have character arcs sometimes. Every character does not need to have a character arc and change. And in many shows and movies, there are characters that don't get much of a character arc at all, and that's fine, as long as they're entertaining or fun on screen. In DBZ, Goku doesn't go through much of a character arc, but you know what?
I don't give a fuck!
Goku is fun, compelling, and entertaining as hell. He's fine the way he is. Just seeing him interact with the other characters and fight is good enough for me. So if you have no problem with the rest of the characters in The Last of Us, that's totally fine. It's just that I personally expected more from the side characters. In a story that is praised so highly for its characters, especially when it has two near perfectly written amazing characters. But the rest of the cast is pretty bland. I know, I titled this section It's Not Special, and that sounds negative. But let me explain myself. What I mean by it's not special is The Last of Us is filled with things we've already seen before. The plot point of a character dying in the first 10 or 20 minutes is one of the most common things in media. It's supposed to pull in the audience. Have you ever seen a Disney film? Lion King, Up, Bambi, etc.? Even anime like Attack on Titan and Demon Slayer? Want a story all about a child with no parents and an adult with no kids who butt heads at first, but over the course of the story learn to love and care for each other? Here's something you may have never heard of before. It's called movies. Here, Leon the Professional, a great flick, and Logan are just two examples. How about another game that tells a similar adult and child bonding story? It's a little not very well known hidden gem that is called God of War. You want a game all about a grieving father who lost his daughter and that would do anything to bring her back and be reunited with her, that also happens to have zombies in it? Well, here's Evil Within 2, a fantastic game, which also has much better enemy variety, just saying. Regarding the story, again, it's a zombie game, which is not new and special in the slightest.
Hey Joe, you wanna play a zombie game? 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 Hey Joe, you wanna play a zombie game?
No, I don't want to fucking play another goddamn zombie game!
Hey Joe, you wanna play a zombie game? Hey Joe, you wanna play a zombie game? Joe, you wanna play a motherfucking zombie game?
The gameplay is fine. It's nothing special. Shooting is fine. Stealth is fine. As for enemies, I feel as if there's a distinct lack of enemies. You're basically fighting the same few enemies over and over. There are zombies which have runners, which is your bog standard zombie. Then there's two more, clickers and bloaters, which are basically super clickers. For a game with such a unique reason for a zombie infection, it sure has some of the most painfully standard zombies I've ever seen in a video game. Like I said, runners are your typical zombie. Bloaters are your typical bullet spongy, tough, big zombies, with the exception that they can throw pollen spore things at you. And then there's clickers, which are basically regular zombies that are blind, and they can one-shot you. Clickers are one of the most unique visual-looking zombies because they have fungus growing from their head, and their clicking noise that they use, similar to echolocation, is actually pretty special. But they are easily some of the most annoying fucking zombies, nay, some of the most annoying enemy NPCs I've ever come across in a video game. They are a one-hit insta-kill zombie. If they so much as touch you, you're dead. And they are the third most common enemy you face. Some sections are clicker-only sections, but lots of sections throw both zombies and clickers at you, and insta-kill enemies are never a fun enemy. How many times have you heard people praise the insta-kill one-hit jackal snipers in Halo 2? They're annoying as all fucking hell. Anytime I heard a clicker, I wouldn't feel a surge of fear or shiver. I would audibly groan. I fucking hate clickers with a passion. So regular zombies bite me, and I'm fine and dandy. I get shot the hell up and need a little med kit. But these guys so much as touch you, and it's bye-bye, baby. The same goes for bloaters, which makes them even less unique because random clickers can insta-kill you. So it's not unique when bloaters do it. They aren't special, they're just big clickers who throw stuff. The kill animation bloaters give you is pretty cool, but I wasn't killed by a single bloater the last 2 times I've played the game. Don't believe me? Just watch my 10-hour one-sitting playthrough. The only reason I mention it is because I saw one kill AJ in his review, and I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. And then there's human enemies too. They all feel the same. Firefly soldiers, cannibals, and the ones that refer to their prey as tourists, they all feel the same. I can't tell the groups apart. For humans, there's melee weapon humans, gun humans, Molotov humans, and armor-wearing humans with assault rifles, which only really show up in the last 20 minutes. So, not much variety here. Again, shooting feels fine. Weapon variety feels fine. There's a rifle, shotgun, like 4 pistols, a bow and arrow, and then there's the equipment like Molotovs, pipe bombs, smoke bombs, etc. I might have missed 1 or 2 things like the flamethrower, but they aren't all that important. Nothing new or special in weapon variety, but they're all fine. Melee combat is extremely simple and one-dimensional. Want to experience melee combat? Take your PS4 controller and put your thumb on the square button. Now mash that button a dozen times. Congratulations, you've experienced The Last of Us melee combat. You can use your fists or weapons like pipes and boards. It helps conserve ammo, but that's about it. I will say though, that melee combat's presentation is excellent. You can feel the weight in your hits, and the sound effects are great. But after a while, you realize that all this does is hide how one-note and one-dimensional the melee combat really is. And then, personally, I feel the game kinda grinds to a halt when you come across the puzzle sections. They switch up the gameplay, but the flow of the game just slows down so much, in my opinion. And I got tired of having to move dumpsters, get a pallet for Ellie to move a ladder, or swim and search for a ladder or pallet. I didn't very much care for these sections, but they're not atrocious. They're just fine, and I think the game probably would have benefited from not having them at all. I wasn't sure where to insert this part, so I'll just add it to the gameplay section. I'm a little divided on Ellie's section of the game. For almost the whole game you play as Joel, except for one section where you play as Ellie for maybe an hour. Might be an hour and a half. Now personally, I love this section because Ellie is my favorite character, but this part just feels out of place. Perhaps the game would have been stronger without this section, or it could have added a couple more sections where you can switch between Joel and Ellie for the puzzles, or even in some combat situations after this section. I mean, you never play as Ellie before or after this section. This is the only time you do. It would be like if in God of War you play as Atreus for one section, or if in Halo you played as a random Marine soldier fighting alongside the chief. Even though I love the section and Ellie as a character, the section still feels daunting and out of place. Perhaps Naughty Dog could have removed it and given it to us instead of the Left Behind DLC, which was fine, but nothing special in my opinion. I would much rather have received this as the one piece of DLC we get, and perhaps the story would have flowed better without this section in it. Some people dislike this section because you go from Joel with all of his tools and weapons to 14-year-old weak Ellie who only starts off with the bow. As I alluded to earlier, I actually do love this section, even though it feels out of place. While I do love the section, it does not do anything new or interesting for the game. Ellie is a 14-year-old little girl, but she can still sneak up on and assassinate grown-ass men. Same as Joel, the only difference is it might take her a couple of seconds longer than Joel. It would have been interesting if she couldn't overpower these grown adults and instead had to rely on traps or the bow and arrow. Still, she eventually picks up most of the same guns as Joel, such as a pistol, shotgun, rifle, and arrows. She somehow can still craft things like Joel. Now, Joel is an adult who has had to live a life of struggle just to get by, so I believe that he can craft things like bombs and medkits. Ellie has mostly been sheltered and isn't a soldier or anything. She's a 14-year-old, so I don't really buy her being able to make medkits or bombs on the fly. Playing as a character doesn't necessarily make me automatically care about playing as this character. One example is Sarah. I played as Sarah, and I did not give a shit about her death. I wasn't attached. Let me ask you this. What is the name of the main playable characters in Call of Duty Big Red 1, Call of Duty 3, or hell, how about something a bit more recent, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare? Do you remember their names or characters? Did you actually care about them just because they were playable characters? Probably not. This is how I felt playing as Sarah. Just because I'm playing as a character doesn't mean I automatically have a connection to them and love them. I already liked Ellie as a character prior to this. I liked her even more after this, but liking Ellie a little more when I already liked her a lot is not new or innovative. You might think that Ellie starts off with less things than what you had as Joel, but that just makes it feel like I went back in time and I'm playing the early game as Joel again, because he also started off with less tools and resources. Everything you collect as Ellie plays no role and has no impact on later events. But everything you collect as Ellie just gets lost. It's gone. Whammo, vanished. You never play as her again. So, upon replaying the game, what's the point in picking up and crafting more stuff? What's the point in having the maximum amount of ammo and crafting materials? As long as I have enough for the next firefight and enough to beat the section, I'm good. I only scavenge for what I need. As Joel, I scavenged until I found everything because every little bit might help out again later. Again, I do personally love this section, but it does nothing new or innovative or exciting for the game. Do you already like Ellie? Well, here's more reasons to like her. Do you like fighting the same old zombies and humans? Well, here's the exact same types of enemies you've been fighting for over and over throughout the game. The one thing that stands out in this section is Ellie's character journey, and it gives us one of the best scenes in the game. To some, it might make the game feel like it drags on a little bit at this point, but I love Ellie, so I'm kind of okay with it. I agree with Angry Joe when he says,
direct control of her eventually, and she's so fun to play as, especially with her character set up so well before you take control. I just didn't want to let go of her and go back to Joel.
Now, here are some of the smaller gripes I have with the game. The blood effects in this game wildly fluctuate. In some areas they are good, but the most common type of blood in the game is the pool that surrounds dead bodies. And even remastered on PS4, it looks like complete ass. Look at that. That just looks so laughably bad. Is this a PS1 game? Realism. The game tries so desperately hard to be realistic. The zombie infection is realistic. You aren't John Rambo in a Call of Duty game, so you can't realistically go in guns blazing for the whole game. Ammo is scarce. In fact, just to hammer this point home, we are going to make guns and ammo vanish into thin air. Do you know how the bad guys have basically an unlimited supply of ammo when they're shooting at you, and definitely have guns? So you would assume that at the very fucking least, you get at least 1 or 2 bullets per person killed. Well, bucko, if you want to get ammo from dead enemies, you better hope and pray to your fucking god that those fuckers have ammo. Don't you know that when the owner dies and their soul vanishes, so too does their gun and ammo if they truly love their weapons? It's in the Bible. John 4:20. Look it up, bitch. This one is a tiny complaint, but why can't I craft arrows? Like, the easiest thing you could possibly craft in the game is nowhere to be found. You like the bow and arrow? Well, don't get too attached because you barely find any arrows in the entire game. I'd be willing to bet that there's less than 40 arrows total in the game. Final are the collectibles. What the fuck are the Firefly medallion or dog tag things? This is some of the laziest form of collectibles I've ever seen. It didn't work in Alien Isolation, and it sure as shit doesn't work here. It's lazy as fuck and just feels like padding. You learn nothing about the Fireflies through these dog tags. They're absolutely garbage collectibles. A small gripe I have is the sniper section. There's a section where you're pinned down by a sniper, and there's enough room in the window to where you could easily counter snipe or out snipe him. You could snipe him from where he is standing, but the game tries so hard to not let you do that. You have to go all the way around, go into the house. Before you get in the house, kill all the guys that are in the houses leading up to that one house. Then you have to walk up and the cutscene plays, and then you have essentially a sniper turret section. There's enough of a crack, there's enough visibility to where you should easily be able to snipe him. But the game just doesn't let you because you have to do it scripted the way the game wants you to do it. And it's kind of infuriating, I'm not gonna lie. Another gripe is the AI, the enemy AI is dumb as fuck. Like, zombies are basically dumb, so I'll excuse that. But some of the humans are laughably idiotic and pretty stupid. Some human enemies with melee weapons will just run up to you when you have them dead to rights. You have a rifle or a shotgun, and they will just run right up to you, and you just gun them down. It's so dumb. And sometimes, if you're in a fight, you don't even have to move from where you are. As long as you duck back into cover, sometimes they'll lose you. There's a section where one or two of the enemies had me dead to rights. I had a pube hair of health left, and if they had just kept shooting in the direction I was in and kept coming closer, I would have been dead. This is a small gripe, no spoilers for The Last of Us 2, but if one of the leaks about the doctor is true, in the most recent playthrough, I shot him in the foot, and he died. So, if the leaks are true, and I shot him in the foot in my most recent playthrough, I might be. This will probably take me out of the game in the sequel, since I shot him in the foot, and for some reason it killed him. But that's only if the leaks I read are true for The Last of Us 2.
This is our future. Don't come any closer. I mean it.
I mean it too. Back up, Doc.
You fucking animal!
I said back up, Doc. He died because he got shot in the foot. Oh, and I forgot to mention this. This is not a gripe or a problem I have with the game, but I forgot to mention earlier that I fucking love the scene, the little section where you're running with Ellie through the hospital in your arms. The music that plays is just so fucking good and filled with emotion. This part is actually really well done. Running with Ellie and the music, like, it's a good score.
I got you. I got you. Come on. Tell me which way. We're okay. We're okay.
I said get back!
The Last of Us is not unique. It is a zombie game about finding a cure and an adult and child bonding. But it is the character writing that is superb and fantastic. The game is beautiful and looks damn good. The world, such as the buildings and fauna growing everywhere, is gorgeous to look at. The environmental design is like 9 out of 10, if not 10 out of 10 material. However, I have too many issues, such as annoying ass one-hit enemies, not enough innovation in the combat or crafting, boring one-dimensional side characters that are only there to play their role in the story, and shitty blood effects. For years, whenever I've rated films or games, I used Angry Joe's rating system because I think it's so perfect. In school, we're taught that A's are the only thing that matter. Anything below an A is shit tier. Even B's, something that you should be proud of, is kind of looked down upon because it's not an A. You didn't get an A. Sure, it's a B, but A is where it's at. C which is average, is shit tier. So, I like Angry Joe's rating system, where 5 is average, 1 is dog shit, and 10 is a damn near masterpiece. If I had to give The Last of Us a rating, I would give it a 7. It has a generic main story with 2 amazing character stories, and average, just good gameplay. If I'm drunk or feeling generous, maybe I can cop it an 8. But as of right now, as a man who has played through it 3 times and laid out all of my praises and flaws, it gets a 7. I hope you learned something, or you can see the game in a new light. If you love the game, my goal is not to make you feel dumb and feel like you should hate it. I just wanted to show off what I perceive as faults and new ways to view the game. If you love it, I hope you continue to love it. I wouldn't dream of changing that and making you hate it. I'm just tired of being called a hater and people making it look like there's only 2 ways to view the game: amazing or shitty. Hey motherfuckers, thanks so much for checking out this video. This is the first of many more video essays to come. I love channels like Raycevick, Many a True Nerd, Joseph Anderson, or SkillUp that really take deep dives into video games to critique and review them. I've been watching Angry Joe reviews for fucking years, and I do disagree a lot with what he says in his review for The Last of Us. But I still love that motherfucker. So, I hope you guys stick around for more video essays, critiques, and reviews. I'm going to stream and review The Last of Us 2, so be on the lookout on our YouTube channel or Twitch. Not really sure where I'll stream it. Our Twitch name is brownpaperbag69, and don't ask me what the 69 stands for, Franklin chose it, so I don't know. And on YouTube, we're BPB Productions, but you probably already knew that if you're watching this video. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and let me know what you think of The Last of Us in the comments. Thanks, motherfuckers. Hope you have a fantastic fucking day, and get laid soon, baby.